Kate. I'm going to be taking you through some yoga today as part of Mental Health Awareness Week with Dynamic Dunescapes. So first of all, I just want to say that we're doing yoga today as like a mental health practice, but there is the physical component of the yoga we're doing too. So if you have any health conditions, if you're worried about exercising in any way, shape or form, please make sure that you speak to a medical practitioner or your doctor just to get clearance first, just to make sure that everything we're doing is nice and safe. So today I'm going to take you through a few yoga asanas and a few practices to show you how yoga can really help relax you and work with your mental health. So the first thing we're going to do is going to start in a comfortable seated position called Savasana. If crossing your knees like this isn't that comfortable for you, then just find another comfortable position, maybe with your legs to the side, which feels good for you. The most important thing is that you feel relaxed and comfortable in this seated position, because we're going to spend a few minutes here just grounding into our practice and trying to quiet the mind and just take ourselves away from the outside world. So from here I encourage you to sit with your legs crossed to whatever comfortable position you find, and just maybe rest your hands lightly on your kneecaps. Throughout your yoga practice you can either choose to close the eyes completely, or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can simply just soften the gaze by letting the eyelids drop a little bit here. So to start our practice, we're going to sit in Savasana and we're going to lift our chest and allow our spine to elongate. So either softly closing the eyes or just dropping the gaze, we're going to take our attention to our breath here. So just inhaling and exhaling through the nose in a gentle pattern of whatever comes naturally to you. And as we draw our attention to our breath, we notice the physical effect it has on our body. How as we inhale, we maybe feel ourselves growing taller and feeling our chest expand. And as we exhale, we let the shoulders relax and melt down the back of the body. And maybe we feel a deeper connection to the ground beneath us. Staying here for 2 more breaths here, just noticing the feel of the air as it comes in through the nose and down through the throat into the chest. And how as you breathe out, maybe the air leaves the body a little bit warmer than it did as it came in. So from here, we're going to start to bring some gentle movement in towards the body now. So gentle movements, maybe just starting by circling the wrists one way and another. And maybe rolling the shoulders back, just bringing gentle movements so that we're now bringing our awareness into how our body is feeling rather than into our breath. And from here we're going to bring in some gentle neck circles, so just dropping the ear over to one side, and then as you exhale, dropping the chin towards the chest, rolling the ear around to the opposite side, and then repeating on the other direction. Inhaling, exhale as you drop the chin to chest. Inhale, and then once more. Slowly returning back to centre now. We're going to cross the feet over in the opposite direction just so that we're balancing out each side, and we're going to bring some stretches into the side of the body here. So as we inhale, we're going to take our hands up towards the sky and look up between our fingertips, and as we exhale, we're going to float one hand down to meet the mat and reach the other hand all the way over our body. Inhale back through to centre, and then exhale to float to the opposite side. So just moving here in your own time with your own breath, and just noticing where the body is feeling maybe any tightness or any tension, and just sending awareness to that part of the body. So we're not trying to judge our body in any way at all, we're just taking an element of curiosity to the practice. Drawing back through to centre, and then releasing our hands back down towards our knees. From here we're going to roll over our knees and come into a quadruped position to come into what we call cat-cow. So it's a way of flexing and extending the spine, and again bringing a little bit more movement into our back. This is especially good if you spend a lot of time driving around or sat at a desk. It's really good to move the spine in this way. So just checking our alignment here, we're making sure that our wrist is directly underneath our shoulders, our knees directly underneath our hips. As we inhale, we're going to drop the chest and take the gaze up towards the sky and stick the buttocks out to the back. And as we exhale, we reverse the movement, bring the chin towards the chest, really pushing the shoulder blades up towards the sky. Running through 2 more, inhaling, taking the gaze up to the sky. Exhaling, curling under, belly button towards the spine. And 1 more here, inhaling, taking the gaze up, shoulders pull back. Exhaling, rolling through, pelvis tilted under, and then returning back to tabletop. From here we come into one of our most important asanas, which is Balasana Child Pose. So we're going to bring the big toes to touch and take the knees out as wide as the mat or the towel or whatever area you're using. And from here, as we exhale, we're going to push our bum back towards our heels and extend the arms out in front of us and bring our forehead down towards the ground. So from here, when we rest in this position, it should feel really relaxing because our head is just slightly below our heart. So it's going to really help relax the body and help us focus on the breath here. So this should feel like a really lovely, restful pose. As you inhale, think about breathing into the back and letting the ribs expand from behind. And as you exhale, just allow the hips to soften and the chest to be drawn closer down towards the ground. And in this posture here, this is a posture that you should be able to come to at any point you want. So if you don't have a time for a full yoga practice, but if you want to just take a bit of time out, 5 minutes in the middle of your day to just take a bit of a break and have some time with your breath, then this is a really good posture to come down to. And stay here for 2 more breaths. And then the next inhale, we just start to walk our body really slowly up to a kneeling position. And then from here, we're just going to bring ourselves again nice and slowly up to a standing position. So we're going to run through some sun salutations now. So this is a really good way of bringing some extra movement and some heat into the body. We're really connecting every movement with our breath here. So again, it's an excellent way of getting yourself out of your mind and into your body. If you find that like you're stressed out or you've got a lot of thoughts going on, getting out of your mind and into your body is a really, really good way just to draw everything inwards. So we start off here, stood at the top of our mat. Now you can have a really narrow position, or especially if you're outside and the ground isn't quite even, taking a bit of a wider position is actually a really good idea because it's going to help you balance a little bit. We're going to run through 3 rounds of the sun salutation. So we're going to start here with feet about hip distance apart, and as we inhale, we're going to take our hands up towards the sky and gaze up through the fingertips. As we exhale, with really soft knees, we're going to come into a forward fold. So bring lots of bending towards the knees and the hands down towards the ground. As we inhale, we draw the hands up the shins, we sit the bum out at the back, and we straighten our back here into a tabletop position. Then as we exhale, we float back down again. Hands come to the mat. We inhale here and step back into a high plank position, making sure our wrists are directly underneath our shoulders. And then we can drop to the knees, unfold the feet, and as we exhale, lower our body down to the ground in a straight line. From here, we adjust the hands slightly and inhale into a really small back bend. And then as we exhale, we push our body up into a down dog position. So here, make sure there's lots of bend in your knees if you're first warming up today. Then from here, we're going to inhale and step the feet forward, back into this flat back position. Exhaling back into our forward fold. And inhaling, drawing our body all the way up towards the sky, looking up between our thumbs. And exhale, drawing the hands back down through heart center. And that's 1 full round of the sun salutation. So we're going to do this 2 more times. You might find that when you've done 1 round, you end up somewhere further away from where you started, so just give yourself a chance to just reset. And we go again. Inhaling, gazing up towards the sky, tailbone tilted under, core locked in nice and tight. Exhale, float down into a forward fold. Again, lots of bend in the knees. Let the chest come towards the thighs. Inhale into this extended tabletop. Exhale, hands down towards the mat. Inhale back into a plank position. Dropping to knees and folding the toes. Exhale, lowering down towards the ground. Inhaling into a back bend, a little bit deeper this time if you like. Exhale, pushing all the way up to down dog. Inhale, stepping the foot through, back to this extended position. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, drawing all the way up. Exhale, hands down through heart center. I'm going to do it through one more time. Inhale and exhale. 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 Inhale and then exhale. So from here we're going to move into a standing balance posture called Vrksasana, called tree pose. So balance work, as well as being really fun, it can be a great way just to, again, get your head out of your head and then into your body, because if we're trying to focus on balancing, it's really hard for us to be thinking about anything else, to be honest. So with Vrksasana, with tree pose, it's a single leg standing balance, and we have several different options available. So I'm going to guide you all the way through these options, but feel free to stay at the one that feels right for you and not have to go and progress all the way through. In any practice of yoga, it's really important that you are doing what feels right and that you're not pushing your body at all. So from here, I'm going to start off by spreading my toes super wide on this mat to try and get as stable balance as possible. Not always easy when you're outside on the grass. So if you want to rest your hand against something, maybe a garden chair, then that might help as well. I'm going to soften through this knee, and from here I'm going to open up through the hip and start off just by resting my heel on my ankle, and then hands come into heart center or extended up towards the sky, and that can be level 1 of Vrksasana. If that feels good for you, you have the option now to take the this is what yoga looks like, to take the foot in towards the calf. Again, make sure the hip is still open and the knee is pressed out towards the side. If that still feels good, then you have the option to go higher, and you lift the foot and place it in against the top of the thigh. So what's really important here with your gaze is to try and find a fixed object about a metre or so in front of you to fix your gaze on. Make sure that object is not moving, and that can really help you with your balance here. So make sure that you're still strong and active through the standing leg and opening out through the hip. And then draw your hands back down through heart center and then release. And feel free to play around with that movement for as long as you like, with different options available to you. So again, I'm going to swap to the opposite side now. So again, I'm going to make sure that I'm really trying to spread my toes as wide as possible, so that as much as I can, I'm getting a really stable base for this movement. And again, I'm going to move all the way up through the steps. So I'm going to start by having my heel in towards my ankle and just having my hands on my hips or at heart center. Really opening up through the hip here and strong and active through this leg. I'm going to try and see how further I get on this side, so I'm going to bring my foot now up to rest on the calf. Notice that I'm resting my foot on the calf and not on the knee joint, because we want to make sure that we're not putting any pressure on the knee. And then next I'm going to play around with trying to take that foot a little bit higher. And then finding, nope, that doesn't work. So I'm going to reset, and this is a good thing, yoga should be playful. I'm going to reset. It also depends what leggings you've got on as well, as to how slippy they are. And again, finding somewhere that's about a metre or so in front of me, really fixing that gaze point, and taking my arms up into full tree. So if you find yourself somewhere here where you are stable and you're feeling calm, just then return your attention to the breath. And draw your hands back down through heart center. So that's Savasana, that's our tree pose. And you'll notice that it can be quite tricky depending what your balance is like. And again, that's why it's so good to play around with balance work in yoga, because you really can't be worried or thinking about anything else, because you are 100% in that moment and you're really, really present on what your breathing is doing and what your body is doing too. And hopefully I've shown you that there is no right or wrong about yoga. It doesn't matter if you're not perfect at it. It's really about connecting with yourself and just enjoying the movements that your body's doing as well. From here, we're going to start to bring things down to the ground a little bit. So Uttanasana is a forward fold, and we did a little bit of forward folding in our sun salutations, but now we're going to spend longer, about 5 to 8 breaths in this forward fold to really help decompress the spine, but also again, because the head is below the heart, it really helps trigger the parasympathetic nervous system. So that is our rest and digest part of our nervous system, which really helps relax us. So we're going to start with our feet again about hip distance apart to give ourselves this stable base. I think we've done enough wobbling around for one day. So from here, I've got a bit of a soft bend in my knees, and as I inhale, I'm going to take my hands up towards the sky, and as I exhale, I'm going to float forward, push the hips back, and just allow my chest to come down towards my thighs. Now from here, your hands could be resting several places. They could rest just on your shins, they could rest behind your legs, they could rest on the ground, or on a block or a brick in front of you. Just make sure here that the important thing is that we can soften the knees, but we're really trying to get the spine to elongate and bring the chest towards the thigh. So let your upper body become really, really heavy here now. And think about where you're distributing the weight. If you've got all the weight sat far back on your heels, then it might struggle to get lower into the stretch. If you move your centre of gravity forward, then you may feel you can get down a little bit deeper. So we hang out here for about 5 to 8 rounds of breath in total. You just try and think about pushing your hips up towards the sky, but letting your upper body become super heavy and letting gravity do the work. Check in with your neck and your jaw, make sure you're not holding any tension, so let the head become loose here. And we're here for 2 more rounds of breath. And then slowly from here, keeping the hands where they are, we're just going to step our knees back and bring ourselves back down to the ground. So from here, we're going to do some work into the hips. So we're going to go into what we call Pigeon Pose. So for anybody who knows they have tightness around the knees or tightness around their hips, then make sure you make use of lots of props. So a prop doesn't have to be a yoga block, it can be a blanket, it can be a cushion. Basically what we will do is we'll use props to fill any sort of gaps that are still there, just to make our practice feel more like what we know our body needs. So we're going to start off in a tabletop position. And we're just going to extend one leg away, and we're going to bring that leg in so that the knee tucks behind the wrist. So I've got my knee behind my wrist here, I've extended that back leg, and from this position here, if I want to intensify the stretch, I can bring my shin more parallel to the front of the mat, or I can keep it tucked in against my hip. This blanket here I could use just to put under my bum and prop myself up here, or I could do that on the opposite side as well. So from here we just wiggle the hips from side to side a little bit, just to make sure that we feel like our hips are both pointing forward. And we're going to come into a forward fold variation of this pigeon. So really slowly we're just going to start to walk our hands away from our body. And maybe we'll come down to our forearms to start off with. So our gaze here now is down towards the mat. And over time we're going to take our time to walk our hands further and further out, bringing our chest closer down towards the ground. But we're not rushing anything, and if we find on one side of the body that actually the best place is just to stay here, then that's fine. So it's all about honouring your practice. So walking the hands out and then dropping the head down. And again here I might use a prop to rest my forehead on here if it doesn't come all the way down towards the ground. And then it kind of becomes a waiting game. So we're not forcing the body to do anything. We're just waiting for gravity to help us sink deeper into the step. And then on the next inhale, we slowly walk ourselves back up to centre. And from here we come back into this tabletop position. Maybe we'll stretch out that leg a little bit, push the heel back, and then we do the same thing on the opposite side. So we come into this tabletop position to start with, and then we're going to bring our knee in behind the wrist. Again, adjust the foot as you feel you need to. Extend that back leg and just take a moment here just to wiggle over the hips from side to side and make sure that both hips are pointing forward. And again, you can make use of props here if you feel that you need to put a blanket anywhere, or even under the knees possibly, to make it feel more comfortable. Then use whatever props you need to. As we exhale, we start to walk our hands away, and then stop at the point where you find there's a biting point. And your body is going to be different on each side, so don't try and force the body to do something on one side. Just because you did it on the other side, just listen to what each side of the body needs. So from here again as well, we just take our time, just every time we exhale, just coming down a bit closer towards the ground. And working with the breath here. Any areas that you feel tightness, just send more breath to that area. And next inhale, really slowly bringing the body back up. Again, releasing this knee and just taking that foot back a little bit, maybe pushing the heel back and forward just to release out any tension you've got there. From here we're going to switch over to come to a seated position. And we're going to come into Setu Bandhasana, so we're going to come into a bridge posture, so a nice back bend here. So we're going to roll our body down on the ground, and we're going to have our feet in towards our bottom and making sure that our feet are in line with our knees here. So having the palms resting down on the ground, we're going to tilt the pelvis under slightly and make sure the lower back is pushed into the ground. And as we inhale, we're going to push through the feet and drive our hips up towards the sky. So here, make sure that your drishti gaze is looking down towards your belly button, your chin is tucked in towards your chest. And if you want to intensify this back bend, you have the option to interlace the fingers underneath your body and start to wiggle the shoulders towards each other. Now here again, taking the focus towards your breath. Back bends can feel quite energetic, really helping increase flexibility in the spine. And again, in any posture, only staying here for as long as feels comfortable. Holding for 2 more breaths if that still feels okay. And then from here, just releasing the fingers again and really slowly tucking your chin towards your chest, just rolling down, starting from the top of the spine, rolling your body all the way down. So to counter that back bend, we're going to hug our knees in towards our chest here and just wrap our hands super tight around our shins and just take a bit of a rock from side to side. So this is Apanasana. It's almost kind of like an inverted version of our Balasana. So again, another super relaxing pose, which should feel really nice, just rocking back and forward and feel really relaxing. And then we're going to come from here, we're going to come into a spine twist. So we're just going to allow the knees to be pushed away from us and our feet to come down towards the ground. And just check in with our feet and bring them to quite a wide stance, about mat width apart. From here we're going to extend the arms, palms facing down, and take an inhale first here at centre, and as we exhale we're going to drop the knees over to one side and then take our gaze in the opposite direction. So we've got a spine twist here, but also a nice stretch down the side of the legs. And once again, your eyes can either be completely closed or just your gaze soft. And again, just let gravity do the work here. So let gravity draw the knees down towards the mat. Don't worry how far down they get at all. Just resting here and letting the spine unwind. Inhale, come back through the centre. Then exhale, let the knees drop to the opposite side. Again, let your legs become super heavy, let gravity do the work, pulling them down towards the mat. Stay here for 2 more breaths. And then we inhale, bring them back to centre. So we hug the knees in towards the chest here again, and taking a bit of a rock from side to side. And then finally we're going to come into our relaxation. So we're going to come into Savasana. So it may just look like lying down, but actually Savasana is an asana, it's a pose in itself. So we extend the legs out along the mat, and we just let the feet become heavy and then drop out to the side, just slightly opening up through the hips. And we rest the hands down by the side of the body, and the palms are facing up, and our fingers are gently curled towards the sky. And from here we can tuck our chin in towards our chest to help elongate the neck. Or once again we can just use a nice little prop here. What's important is that you feel super cozy and super relaxed here. So this relaxation at the end of our practice is really an opportunity for us to let all of the good work that we've done sink in. And often we'll find that we feel a lot more relaxed than we did at the start of our practice. Really hoping that's the case. But just by moving through different postures and linking the breath to those movements, you really find that you've been able to draw your senses inwards and forget about all that chatter from outside. So what we do here is we just kind of check in with the body and just see how we are feeling now. So we notice maybe that the forehead feels relaxed, that the muscles in the face have softened, that our throat feels relaxed, and our shoulders feel heavy and supported by the ground beneath us. All tension has been released from our arms. Our palms feel light. Our back feels heavy. Our hips are soft. We can feel the muscles in our legs are warm as the sunlight is flowing down. We feel this relaxation floating all the way down to the body as if we're bathed in warm sunlight, until any last bit of tension just drifts out the soles of the feet. We feel ourselves here now on the mat, feeling heavy and supported and held by the ground beneath us. And just knowing this time and space is here for you whenever you need it. Whether you're doing a long yoga practice or even coming to take a few breaths in Vipassana. And in Savasana you can spend as long as you like here. However, if you are ready to come back into the outside world, then I encourage you to do so nice and slowly. So just start by bringing little movements into your body, just little movements like maybe wiggling the toes, or turning the hands down just to feel the grass beneath you, or the sand or the mat, wherever you're practicing your yoga. Filling the air, the lungs with air, and just twisting the head from side to side, really gently. And then maybe just reaching the hands above the head and pointing the toes as far away from the fingers as you possibly can. Just coming into a big full body stretch here. And then hugging the knees back in towards the chest again, coming into a nice tight ball, taking that rock from side to side until eventually you roll all the way over onto one side. From here you can take your cushion or just make a pillow with your arms. And then again, ever so slowly, just you bring yourself back up to a comfortable seated position. And I always encourage everyone to finish their yoga practice by drawing the hands to heart center and feeling that real connection through to their heart, and then just bowing their head as a sign of gratitude. So you could pick anything that you like to practice gratitude towards, but I like to practice gratitude to the practice of yoga, to every one of you who's shared this with me, and always as a sign of gratitude to yourself for giving yourself this important time just to switch off and learn how to relax. So thank you very much for joining me. I really hope that you can incorporate even maybe one or two of these postures, this relaxation, into your week, your day, and use this as a way to really help improve your mental health and look after yourself. Thank you very much for joining me.